Welcome in, everybody. This is Charlie Castro. Thanks for joining me today. Today is April the 8th. This is our first YouTube channel in about 10 days, so I apologize for that. We have been off the air as we've been extremely busy with a couple of new bank tapes that we've acquired, or had access to market, I should say. So thanks for coming in with us today. We're going to talk about a couple things, including the buying protocol on all of these bank lists. We're going to talk about that. It's extremely important. We're going to also talk about some new inventory that we have. Now, we've had a lot of new inventory the last 10 days that we've not really done a very good job of getting out there, so hang with me. I'll do this in about 15 to 20 minutes, so just hang with me and we'll talk about some new inventory that's available. So about today's webinar, have a pen and paper out. Be prepared to take down some notes. This is some important stuff here, so be prepared to take some notes down. We're only going to do about a 15, maybe 20-minute video, so just hang with me on that. If you're a flipper and you're looking for financing, stay with me. We've made a new contact about 6 weeks ago. It's been extremely beneficial for people looking to buy some flips. Use their cash, be able to leverage that to go out and fix a property up and then flip it. We'll talk about that at the end of this slideshow. Very short, little maybe like 1 minute presentation. Okay, this week's inventory, to give you some ideas, some new things we have. And first of all, we did get a list of HUD properties, and I've not done an aggressive job at all about getting this out. We have to have offers in on these by April the 14th. It's a nationwide list. These are all HUD properties. It's an exclusive offering. There's some extremely good prices on this list. If you're looking for HUD-type properties or bank-owned type stock, contact us immediately. I can give you the buying criteria, how all of it works on this tape. It's a different set of criteria than what you're going to see today. There's some unique aspects of this particular list. So you'll need to contact me, and I'll be glad to give you a copy of that list. Birmingham, I've got more packages right now in Birmingham. I said 3. I've actually got about probably 7 or 8 down there, but there's 3 in particular properties that have all been recently rehabbed. Cap rates from 12% all the way up to about 20%. Some really good cash flowing properties, and all 3 sellers have agreed to let people cherry pick through them. Now, you probably get a better deal if you buy in bulk, but regardless, if you're looking to cherry pick some really good cash flowing properties in that market, give us a call. Non-performing notes. We got some from CityVest a few weeks ago. We have not done, again, an aggressive job at all about getting these out. The one tape is a national tape, looking for 25 to 35% of unpaid balance, which is pretty awesome. It's all over the country. There's about 75 on one list and about 100 on another list. So if you're looking for non-performing notes, get a hold of us about that. Florida also, I'm in possession of a list here. I've recently had a group agree to acquire 4 notes down in Florida at 55% of unpaid balance, which is pretty good for a Florida note. So 55% of unpaid balance down in Florida. And then in Detroit, got a bunch. If you're looking for Detroit stock, just give us a call. I got everything down there from REOs at $500 all the way up to, cash flowing properties at $900 a month in rent that are at, in the $50,000 ballpark, and then everything in the middle. So if you're looking for Detroit inventory, we got Detroit's become a pretty hot market in the last 6 months or so. We've done pretty well down there. So we just sold 22 REOs down there just last week. So about to go to tax sale on the 31st, and the buyer came and scooped them up pretty cheap, less than $500 a property on some pretty decent properties. So if you're looking for Detroit, contact us. Now, I'm going to talk about the market a little bit and where have all the good deals gone. We talk to people all the time that are looking for certain type of inventory at a certain price, and things have certainly changed. And I've talked about on this YouTube channel a couple times about how even 6 months ago, if you offered on a stabilized cash flowing portfolio in Atlanta or Florida, that you could still pick those up for 60 to 70%, 80% of fair market value, and have some pretty good success with that. And as many of you know, and I did a slide on this for probably 10 different YouTube sessions, I talked about, that's kind of gone away. If you're looking for stabilized cash flowing property, that inventory is not as readily available as it was a few years ago. No, I shouldn't say that. Even a year ago, or even 6-8 months ago. In 2009 to 2012, buy and hold cash flowing properties were hot. Deals were everywhere. You could pick up deals right after the market had crumbled in 2008. You could pick up properties anywhere in the country at really super discounts, whether it had been, cash flowing properties or vacant REOs. The hedge funds during that period of time were buying primarily REO lists from banks, tapes. They were buying those big bank tapes and building their portfolios. Then in 2012 to 14, that sort of shifted a little bit with the hedge funds, and I was in this group. The hedge funds were, buying all those cash flowing turnkey properties, and that's where they found the values to be. They could go in and buy a stabilized property, at 60% of fair market value, and they did those consistently, I will be honest, I made a living during that period of time just selling to hedge funds. 99% of my income came from just selling to the hedge funds, whether it had been Havenbrook or whether it had been Colony or Buy Property Direct was our largest client. Those guys were all buying property like crazy, and you can get great deals during that period of time. And then in 2015, the market shifted. Actually, that's not really true. It really started to shift in the summer of 14 is when we experienced it ourselves, when you start seeing the hedge funds start focusing more on notes. Why were they focusing on notes? Because you could get notes from the banks during that period of time for 40, 50, 60 cents of unpaid balance on properties that had really good equity already built into the properties, and all of a sudden those funds shifted their focus to notes. And what that did was it really threw the market that we know, most of the people we deal with, Phil and myself, it threw those people into a little bit of a tizzy. They, who were the buyers, who were the sellers, and the question became, where's the good deals? And people contact us all the time. Where's all the good deals at? We can't get we'll have a cash flowing stabilized portfolio, for example. Buyer wants $50,000 a door. Seller wants $50,000 a door. The buyer thinks they're only worth 40. You can't make a deal. No deals happen. People get discouraged, and they wonder where all the deals have gone. So we're going to talk about all the deals have gone because we believe the answer is pretty simple. The deals have gone to REOs. Real simple. If you own a cash flowing portfolio of turnkey property and you're making 12, 13, 14% on your money, you know that the replacement costs on those properties are quite a bit higher than they were even a year or two ago. So you're not really motivated to sell those at deep discounts. Can you get a discount? Yeah, you can usually still get a discount if you buy in bulk, but you're not going to get the discount you could have of 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 months ago. Certainly not a year or two ago. So what we have seen is the people that understand where the deals are gravitating towards the REOs, and they come in a couple different shapes and sizes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about two specifically different types of REOs that you can acquire, one from a bank and one that's private. They're two different types of assets. The protocol is completely different one from the other. And as we've learned in the last 2 weeks, and for those of you that interface with our office on a daily basis, you know that if you've not learned the buying protocol on a tape, you'll fail. Can't say that any clearer. If you don't understand the protocol, you can send me great offers. You can do all the things that you think you need to do, that you used to do to get you a property. If you don't know the protocol, it won't work. So to brokers in particular who have buyers, I'm saying this as loudly as I can and clearly, you need to watch this video and learn the protocol. If you don't know the protocol, you're going to fail. I've experienced this for the last 10 days now where I've had buyers delivered to me making offers on property, having no clue at all about what the protocol is. And at the end of the day, they've wasted their time and they failed because they didn't pay attention to what the selling party was requiring. And okay, enough of that. That's my lecture for the day. So here's how it works. Going to walk through it step by step. It's very important. In most cases, we're going to ask you to sign an NDA. Not in all cases, but in some cases, we're going to ask to sign an NDA. Request the list of properties in your markets. Nobody likes for us to send out the entire list. Why is that? Simple. If we send out an entire list of properties, somebody will inevitably get their hands on it. They'll put their name and phone number on it. They'll rebrand it into their company's name and they'll send it out. That's not how it works. If you want to remarket our product, all you have to do is call us and ask us. We'll tell you how we do that. But no seller of a large tape, whether it be private or a bank-owned tape, wants their property on LinkedIn or Facebook. So we cannot send out the list in entire. Do not contact us and say, I've got buyers in all 50 states, because you don't. Nobody does. On all these lists, all of them, when you're buying an REO, there's one fundamental difference between buying an REO and buying a stabilized cash flowing property. There's no due diligence period. You have to do your due diligence up front. Due diligence becomes prior to you submitting your offer. Don't try to send me and I had this happen yesterday with a great group out of New York. They sent me an offer on 18 properties in New York, and they said, these are great. Here's our offer price. It'll be like 30 days due diligence. Wrong. That doesn't work. No seller of an REO is going to give you a period of time to do due diligence. You do that up front. I'm going to explain to you how you do that. You need to submit offers, a letter of intent, proof of funds. Not as important for the moment. I'm going to explain that in a second. The bank tape that we're going to talk about right now. So I'm talking about one specific bank tape. This is an auction.com tape. It's got about 15 different banks on it. I'm going to go through that protocol right now. On that particular list, it's important to note that our fee is $2,000 a property if the property is up to $100,000. If it's over to $100,000, it's 2%. If you're a broker, you have to add on top of that. So it's very important that you note on these bank properties, banks don't pay fees. They do not pay fees. They may pay a realtor fee, but if you're not a realtor in the state that you're selling the property, you can't collect it. So the banks don't pay fees. You have to collect your fee from your buyer. 2% is what we're asking for, over $100,000. You need to add on top of that. Very, very important. important. There's two different types of lists. There's a main list that we have in our possession, and there's a pre-auction list. I'm going to talk about both of them. On the main list that we have, it's a larger list. It contains over 10,000 properties. You want to always pay attention to the auction start date. If the auction start date has already begun, then you know you're at auction, which means you're competing with other people. It's a very important distinction. If you offer the right price, if you offer the highest and best price, you can still get properties off that list. But we want to let everybody know that if you're looking at that list, if you ask for that particular list, it's a larger list, has more properties on it. If you request that list, you have to know that there's going to be many of those properties will be at auction, so you'll be competing against that list. The advantage of that list is you may get a better price on some properties, but please know that the seller only lowers these prices after the property's gone to auction 10 plus times, and actually we've learned it's actually more like probably 30 or 40 times it goes to auction. If they don't sell them in that period of time, then they may lower the price. The list that we like the best, the one that we've had the most, no, I shouldn't say that. The list that we've only had good success with has been the pre-auction list. This is a great list. Matt called it one-click shopping. He did that because when we got our first properties, that's what it was like. Somebody sent us an offer. It was at the price guidelines that we gave them. They offered at that price. We sent it to our rep, did auction.com. 15 minutes later, we had an acceptance. The next day, we had a contract. It's a smaller list, but we get that list each week. It has not gone to auction yet. What's the advantage of the fact that it hadn't been to auction yet? Number one, not everyone has the list. You're looking at a list that not the whole world doesn't have their hands on. So a pre-auction list gives you privileges. The privilege is that you have a list that not everybody else has. The second advantage that it gives you is I'm going to give you the bottom line asking price. Now, I understand that we're going to give you asking prices of properties, and you're going to have the temptation to call me and say, but Charlie, that price is too high. Yeah, in some cases they will be. In some cases, though, they'll be extremely competitively priced. You have to learn to just walk past the ones that are too high priced, in your opinion. The banks put a value on the properties. That's what those properties are insured for. They're not going to sell them for less. So when they give us price guidelines and we give you those price guidelines, if you're willing to pay that price, you're going to win the offer. If you're not willing to pay that price, then you're not going to get the property. It's going to go back to auction over and over and over again. There is a third advantage that I didn't put on the screen to buying on the pre-auction list. The third advantage is you have some time to do your due diligence. One thing that's very important, when you submit a bid on any of these bank-owned properties that I'm showing you here today, or whether it be even a private-owned list of REOs, they all have the same protocol. Once you make the offer, you're offering, man. You're at the auction. It's not a, well, yeah, I like that price now, but you don't want to do that. You will get red flagged. All these groups that we deal with, all the banks, all the private sellers of these REOs, there's rules to follow. If you submit bids and you submit that bid and then you pull out after you've submitted the bid and the bid's been accepted, they'll blacklist you. They'll put you on what they call a red flag list. So you want to be sensitive to that. But this list, the pre-auction list, gives you time to do your due diligence because it hasn't gone to auction yet. You may get a property that's not going to auction for 2 weeks. You got time to do your due diligence on that. Go out there, take a look at it, and make your bid. Now, we will give you the indicative bid price. We are trying not to give the indicative bid prices out on emails and electronically. If you want those prices, you have to contact our office. We'll be glad to give those to you. All you got to do is call us or drop us an email. Now, tips for buying. If you're submitting offers on the main list, you've got to come in at your highest and best. You do not want to come in at some lowball price. For those that used to bid on the Fannie Mae tapes, we have a lot of people that are still with us back from the Fannie Mae days of last summer when people would come in and they'd offer at 40, 50. Banks aren't going to take that, so just don't do it. On the pre-sale list, do not under-offer the price that we give you. If we give you a number, that's the number. You actually should come in a little bit higher than that number, like $500 or $200 or something. But you should come in a little bit above the price that we give you. So don't come in under that. If the price doesn't work for you, that's okay. Don't forget, the new list comes out next week. Just look on the new list for the next group of properties. If you're looking for a quick reply time, only ask for the pre-auction list. I have people that submitted bids to me on the larger list that are at auction. They're at auction. They're not going to call me back every day to give me an update. There isn't an update. If your offer is accepted, you'll find out. If you're looking for some exclusivity, ask for the pre-auction list. That's the most exclusive list that we have. The pre-auction list gives you by far the greatest chance of success. Contact me. By the way, I am glad to talk to you and or your sellers or buyers rather at any time. That's what I'm here for. Contact me, use us. Now, when making your offers, we have to have all your buyers' information. We've learned that it's actually more important to have your buyers' information than it is to have an LOI. The LOI is really sort of secondary because these offers are submitted under our account. So we have to have your buyer's information before we submit the bid. So if you send us over a bid, the price is great, but unless we know all the information about your buyer, we can't submit the bid. We'll need a POF. That's the one thing we do need. We will need the buyer's articles of incorporation, so make sure you get those handy because they're going to ask for those pretty quickly. If you win the bid, you're going to have 24 hours to sign the agreement. That's the agreement. It's very important. If you make a bid, you have to be prepared to go to contract. Don't make a bid just sort of testing the waters to see what they're going to take. Don't do that. We'll tell you what the bank's going to take. Don't submit a bid unless you're ready to go to contract. There is an earnest money deposit, $2,500 or 5% on every agreement. Now, there are some exceptions, but only through certain banks. But for the most part, plan on that EMD being required. Title can be conveyed either quitclaim or title. We can talk about that another. That's not important. Do not make, I already been through this, do not make offers unless you're prepared to close. There is a death penalty for doing this. It's not really death, but if you do submit offers and they send you a contract and you change your mind, you probably won't have your offer seen again, so you don't want to do that. It's very, very important. These banks have rules, and if you don't follow those rules, you will be taken off their list. Your account will be suspended, and they will not take your offers from you again. We've already had that happen to one person this week. He submitted bids on 5 properties. He actually signed the bank contracts, and then he changed his mind. Well, he's now off the list. He can no longer offer on these properties. These properties are sold as is, where is. Very important to know that. The buying protocol for a private list. Now, I am shifting gears now, and I'm at 16 minutes, and I said I do this within 20, so I want to go through this as quickly as I can. This is the buying protocol for a private list of REOs. Equally as important to know that they have protocol to follow, but interestingly, their protocols are almost the opposite of the banks. So let's go through that. If you don't follow this protocol, you will not be successful. I refer back to the conversation I had yesterday with these gentlemen in New York. Great guys, good buyers. They had no idea the protocol. They're starting over again. So very important. We probably do more properties off this list than any other list. It's a private list of REOs. It's called list number 111. Just request list 111. This is our best list in terms of values, in terms of getting stuff under market value. Again, if you're looking for deals, this is where you're going to find deals. First step, request list of properties in your areas. We cannot send out the entire list on these neither as we can with the banks. We can only send out properties in your markets. Give us your markets, you'll get a fresh list. We get the list every month, brand new. Then request the access codes. We can get you into these properties. I didn't mention it, but on bank-owned properties, you generally can't get a lockbox key. So don't call me up and ask for access codes. There is some exceptions to that, and I do have a bank list. If someone wants to contact me about another bank list that you can get into, if that's part of your criteria, contact me. I can tell you how to get you a list of bank properties that I can get you access codes to. Request the access codes. I can get those to you in 24 hours. Do your own due diligence. Go look at the property. Check for tax liens, water liens. Don't expect to go under contract with a 15-day due diligence period. The due diligence comes first. If you want me to ask the bank the private seller in this case, to hold the properties for a week or 10 days while you go do your thing, I can do that. But you need to contact me out there. They will do that for us. We do enough business with them where they'll take some properties and they'll hold them for you. But you've got to do your own due diligence first. Once you get the contract and you get the deal approved, you're going to contract. Now, the ask price, unlike the bank tape, this is where it gets really different. The ask price on the spreadsheet is not firm, not even close. We've gotten properties as little as 40% of market value off that list. Depends on the property, depends on the market, depends on a lot of factors, but between 50 and 80% of the ask price is generally what I can negotiate out for a buyer. It can be sometimes much less than that, but you need to contact me. I'll give you details on that, but it is not a firm asking price at all. Where the indicative bid price, you got to hit it. On these private sellers, you don't have to hit that number at all. They're very negotiable. I do not need an LOI or a POF. I just need an email. Charlie, I'll buy this property at $50,000. That's all I need. I don't need LOIs. I don't need POFs, and I'll tell you why in 1 second. These are REOs. There's no contract date that's going up to 30 days. Do not submit a contract to me or an offer to me and say we'll close in 30 days. They're not going to do that. These are REOs. Many of these properties you're going to buy for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000. They're not going out 30 days on a property like that. A typical closing time frame is 1 to 2 weeks from the time you agree on everything. So in other words, you've seen it, you've done your due diligence, you've been inside of it, you made your offer was accepted. The next day you're going to get a contract. They're going to go towards the closing. It's going to be 1 to 2 weeks before, at the most, to close those. Very quick. Title can be conveyed by warranty or quitclaim deed. I do a ton of quitclaim deeds with these guys. The in-house close is the easiest way to do it. They have in-house attorneys that can close these in 3 to 5 days. We are paid by the seller. There is no fees in these for you to pay. Then, like the bank tapes, the banks don't pay people, but the private seller we have an agreement with. I get paid by the seller. In the past, you know what, we were able to send out specific zip codes in the past. We'd like to keep that to states now. So when you request properties, request them please by state, not by county zip. And please, no subjective places like the best school districts or the good neighborhood of Atlanta. We don't know where those are. Now, when you're requesting bank properties, this is what makes our life as easy as possible. The best thing that you can do is get on our mailing list. If you're on our mailing list, we know what you buy and where you buy it at. We'll send you a list every time we get one. If you want to receive inventory consistently, email matt.castro91@gmail.com. That account is strictly for people that want to get entered into our database to learn where properties come available as they come available. If you're in our database, you'll receive that stuff as we receive it. Preferably in one email, we want to know what states, what's your buying criteria, whether you want bank or private or both. Just give us all that information. We'll put you into our database. Okay, last slide, fix and flip loans. If you're somebody looking to do, some properties that you buy off either one of these tapes, you want some financing to do it, it's a great way to get some cash. There's no credit really required. It's really all about the property. The loan to value, up to 90% of the purchase price, not to exceed 80% of the as-is value. We will finance 90% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab costs. So if you've got a property for $50,000, you're going to put $10,000 down. They're going to finance the rehab costs and the acquisition of the property. Your down payment is going to be 10%. Interest rates as low as 8%. It's 12 months loans. There's 4 points origination points to be paid. There's no prepayment penalty. It's got to be a minimum of $75,000. Does that mean if you got 2 properties at $40,000 each, will that work? Yep. If you got a couple properties that equal $75,000, they'll help you get financing. You need to contact me to get an application. It's pretty quick. It takes about 2 weeks to get approved and get money in your, I shouldn't say money in your account, money to close and money to do the rehab. That is my YouTube channel for this week. I'm Charlie Castro. You've got my phone number, my email address here. If you're a broker and like to have this done for you without my contact information for you to share with your buyers, I'm willing to do that. Contact me and I will provide you with a short video to help your buyers understand our buying criteria. I went over today. That's 22 minutes. I hope I did not bore you, but there's a lot of information to get out. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. We'll do this again next week. And here's my contact information. Look forward to talking to you all soon.